And today is a round table of casualities where we talk about the zeitgeist and things that are impacting our cultural today. I am your host, Jeff, and this is Justin.
I'm Justin.
I'm Miles. Would you scale a world leader based off of their country's arsenal or them as a person? Because like that would mean that they're like city block to small country level, or are they just regular human level? So
well,
like,
I feel like you need both.
That depends on who you're comparing it to. Like, are you can't compare like Benjamin Netanyahu as a person versus the entire nuclear arsenal of China. I feel like that's just not fair.
Coughing baby versus
hydrogen bomb.
But no. Let's look back in history. If we go back to 1938, Britain and Germany are pretty equal. But the whole reason why that war doesn't start earlier is because as a person, Neville Chamberlain is power scaled so much less than Hitler because he just doesn't have the capability.
True.
So I think that's about like the reason why. Oh gosh, this is going to sound so politically biased, but the reason why America has had its recent issues is not because of our arsenal. Our arsenal has functioned fantastically. You know what's better than Russia?
Some would say it's functioned the best.
You know what's better than
greatest
Russia?
arsenal.
You know what it works so much better than Russia's automatically loading tank shells? It's some kid named Steve who's 20 from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Hey, he's definitely on some type of opioid. We
have the best things in the world. It's just our strategy and our leadership has been so power scaled down. That's why we suck.
So there's actually a stat in battle boarding called battle IQ. So it's pretty much how smart a character is in a fight. So their ability to strategize and determine what's the best course of action. So, yeah, that means that our battle IQ is very low.
You put in all the different stats when you create a D&D character. But you know who has good stats, but it's still controversial? Christopher Nolan. And that's where we're going to start today, taking it all the way back into the theme. So essentially, I want to talk about the great culture wars, and specifically with a focus on the paradigm that is Christopher Nolan, because he's been called very woke and progressive, and a lot of people want to focus on his new movie, The Odyssey, where there is very little, actually, I don't think there's any Greek representation because I don't think there's any Greek casting, and then a lot of people say that that is not progressive or representative enough. But then on the other side, people are saying, oh, he has Lupita Nyong'o as Helena Troy, and there's a poet who is played by Travis Scott, which is trying to make rappers modern poets, that whole spiel. So that's something I want to focus on today is is he really considered that?
I forgot Travis Scott was in that movie.
I didn't hear about this. I mean, I haven't been keeping up with movies in general, but especially Christopher Nolan, obviously world-renowned director, Dark Knight trilogy, all of that. So I've never kept up with that. I maybe heard in passing that he was directing The Odyssey. I never heard about Travis Scott.
He plays a minor role as a poet in the story, but it's kind of an homage to rappers being modern day poets.
I understand. If you were to compare early day rappers, I'd 100% agree, but I don't think modern day rappers kind of fall into that. This is where you pull up a clip of Miles and one of his songs.
Now he is.
Now if this is for those who
he is a
no ball
visionary.
Okay, all right. That might be you have a little bit of a point. You have to pull up the clip of his Martin Luther King song.
I am partial to his Abraham Lincoln song.
I'm gonna play some of his stuff over this, and you get to decide for yourself, audience. All 7 of you.
Shout out Martin Luther King. That nigga had a dream.
Who knows? We might end up with 5 after this.
Not because they stopped watching, but because they had a stroke while they were watching and died.
I had a guy that subscribed, left a comment, upset at me in one of my shorts, and unsubscribed.
What was the time frame of that? Was it a few weeks, a week or two, or just within the same day?
No, it was an hour.
Within an hour. He just
subscribed just so I'd look at the comment for some reason and then unsubscribe. It was some older dude too. At least that's the profile pic. But anyways, like I don't think Nolan is particularly seen as a progressive guy because like Tenet, yes, the lead is black, but most of his character leads are white, and he does a lot of historical stuff. So obviously he wants to respect that, but then people are going to be like, why don't you have more Greeks in the movie? And number one, if you're a Greek trying to say that you're not white, you're white. They're the ones that invented the term white as a race. So that you're white.
Some of them can be more olive,
But they consider themselves, they don the term white. They also didn't view the Nordic people as white. They said that they're pastier than white. So that is
How do you get pastier than white?
be from Norway?
You know what? There's a substance called
Holland.
glass that's used as a frame of reference.
Look at Eric Holland, the soccer player right now.
How can you be a soccer player and be pasty?
He's oh my gosh! I'm gonna put a photo over here. He's gonna have to see afterwards, but
So
he looks like Barbie.
how did the
talking
Greeks
about, like, this
view
way?
like how did the Greeks view albino people?
Abomination.
They
Terminate.
They usually saw the babies at the bottom of the cliff.
Unfortunate. I am so sorry to bring it up. I walked right into that.
You got to remember the Greeks weren't the most compassionate people. They logically thought, oh, if this person can't produce for society.
They also, their philosophers were just early rage baiters.
I'm
The
so
guy who's like a
Diogenes
feather.
is a troll.
Yeah.
no
Man is a featherless biped. Behold a man.
I am currently in the musical Godspell right now, and the intro song to that has like a bunch of philosophers throughout history like overlapping over each other, and it starts out with Socrates,
More like Socrates.
basically rage baiting whomever Socrates was talking to, and I'm like, that was pretty much that was a philosophy. Like that was them doing their thing. It was just like, how can we? And they did it to start discussion. They didn't just do it to make other people mad, but they baited other philosophers into discussion with the most outrageous thing. That's where we got the featherless biped thing. And
them getting mad was just the icing on the cake.
it was the fact that they got so mad was, and like we have early like Christian councils and stuff that would get heated like that. I know that the whole Santa Claus punching Arius it has like been like it's more legend than fact, but still things got heated.
Those of you who don't know, the real Saint Nick, Santa Claus, is the one that punched this guy that had heretic philosophies.
Yeah,
I mean,
Total W.
I'm not advocating for violence. However, if the heretical belief is bad enough, you should probably punch him in the face.
Arianism is still like how many would you say there are in the world now?
Wait, what was that called?
Like
Aryan as in like the World War II, or Aryan as in like something else?
So the word Aryan will have the same origin, but people miss what like that whole thing. Like
There's
word,
like one guy
the
back
word-
in the 40s who really missed the point, I guess.
Iran means Aryan, and like there's a whole history behind it. I'm not gonna talk about it here, but like it was this belief. I believe it wasn't the belief that God, like Jesus, was not God. Jesus was just a regular everyday man. Wasn't that the belief?
Yes, it was that Jesus was created by God and was not, and therefore was not equal to God, and
Created like one of us, just like a normal person.
the legend goes
And,
that
like, bestowed power or whatever.
No.
Oh, so it got it. Then how do you explain the miracles then?
do you see why he warranted being
See
punched?
the issue here?
Because here's the
I
thing.
can see why he was punched. Yes.
When they're trying to like nail down specific creeds and things of like, okay, this is how a Christian should live, and then some moron comes in with like, I don't think Jesus was God. I think he was created by God, and it's like that just detracts from actual valuable discussion that they could be having. So like, I understand.
Right. It's like a pointless interjection of like the chicken and the egg when the conversation was like, should you kill people or not?
He took the shortcut to end the conversation, but to bring our conversation back,
Oh, right.
do you guys think that with like, especially with stuff like Christopher Nolan, I personally still think, especially for Nolan, I don't think he's progressive, especially for like Hollywood's expectation of progressive. I don't think he's up there, but I also do not view him as a bastion of conservatism. And overall, I want to ask that because where do we think the culture wars are at? Because I see some, especially non-American YouTubers, thinking that the far right has more of a hold on culture now. And I still don't necessarily see that. I still think progressivism is still fairly flaunted in media itself. There's a lot of other areas that is not and has lost a lot of favor. But I do think in entertainment in particular that the pendulum has yet to fully swing back to the right. Because I think the pendulum swinging to the right would be equivalent of like New Age McCarthyism, things like
Hollywood itself would have to like quite literally explode and burn to the ground. Well, it's already burning. Hollywood would have to cease to exist,
Quite
and there'd have to be
literally.
another Hollywood in like the South for the pendulum.
they
to
arrested
swing.
the guy that caused that, by the way.
Oh, the fires was intentional.
So it was a dude who was upset. I think he either threw his food out or a cigarette out. And essentially all the trees in the area have interconnected root systems. So when
Right.
one burns, it burns underground and burns them all.
Yeah, they should kill that guy in Minecraft. Anyway,
As you say, you hate Hollywood. Justin, what are your opinions on that?
I think, like most things, and like a lot of people will think this is a cop-out answer, but like I think, like most things, the answer is going to fall somewhere in the middle. Like, obviously, Christopher Nolan aside, I don't think we're so obsessed about like who's winning the culture war when like it seems like each issue seems to favor one side over the other, and I don't think that necessarily means the tides have turned. Yes, victory for the woke. I think it's very much like, okay, this issue has one perspective and one solution that is obvious
or favorable.
and then the other and then a separate issue, like it may favor the other side. And that's not to say like one culture is more correct than the other, because it falls somewhere in the middle all the time, and people don't like to acknowledge that because they like to believe that anyone who doesn't agree with them is literally Hitler or literally Stalin or like any one of those people. And
Either the woker or the chudder.
And on the topic of Christopher Nolan, why are we saying that he's woke when you have like Spielberg in Hollywood still, who's infinitely more woke? And that's not
But
saying
also like very, very, very. I don't know if I can say this. Never mind. I was gonna say Jewish, but I was like, should I say Zionist? But then I sound like some Twitter nut job, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth
I
shut.
don't think Zionism or Judaism is like on one side or the other explicitly. I think like there is obviously some overlap. There is a Venn diagram there, as with most things.
I think if depending on what label the person is using to address it, can determine. Like I've seen a lot of people on the left use the term Zionist, and then a lot of people on the right use Jewish in terms of like saying this is bad or whatever.
That's a fairly recent thing, too. Like, Zionism used to be more support on the left than the right. Up until recently. Up until the 90s.
Until they started targeting browner people.
Yeah, and like when we decide that we're going to divide into different camps like this, that's what's going to sow more division, because we like to attach labels to things and say this label is why you shouldn't like these things. When I say that Steven Spielberg is woke, I don't say that one way or the other towards him. I'm saying like this is the descriptor based on his like what he has said that he believes and what he has done as far as like Hollywood, his movies, all of that.
Yeah, there's also an important point to add is that people are hypocrites, and the standards are not just doubled anymore; they're like quadrupled. So it's hard to nail it down because the standards for determining if, say, Nolan is woke won't be applied to, say, Spielberg or Michael Bay or some other director or creative, and it's like the standards don't translate one to one, as frustrating as that can be for someone like me.
Sometimes people just want to make a cool movie,
and sometimes they don't make it, and sometimes they just kind of make a bad movie, and then it's just I don't know.
That shouldn't be in a political camp. You should be able to come under fire if your movie is bad, regardless of where you fall.
Which is funny because the culture war started from that kind. Well, it started with, as with all things in life, it started with the gamers, and
we're gonna call Gamergate right now.
you were the one who wanted to talk about the culture war. Of course, we have to bring up Gamergate. It's what galvanized the current.
Oh my god! I'm gonna just over top of this. I'm gonna put film of that one girl that is helping write the new God of War game.
Oh my god!
Anita Sarkeesian, or is it a different one?
Oh no, a different one.
Oh, the one that we talked that
yes,
we watched.
Although Anita Sarkeesian will also be featured in here somehow. Her face is gonna be probably like in that corner, looking like a devil.
Oh, yeah.
Come at me, you Armenian.
Does she even have any relevancy anymore?
No.
Because I don't know.
I mean, we're talking about her on the podcast.
Yeah, but it's this podcast.
It's
not like
I suppose the joke's on us either way you spin it, because either our podcast is unpopular or we're giving her a platform.
Our platform's not even big enough for her toe to stand on.
No.
But I do think, like, if you flip it the other way, look at it from a different perspective on the culture war. So something I've seen women talk about in particular, some women don't like when a movie is particularly advertised as, oh, this is a woman's movie. Because let's say they watch that movie and the movie is just terrible. It's god-awful. It sucks. It's like I know
like
it's
a Rise
not
of Skywalker.
I don't think
Marvels.
that's I don't think that's a woman's movie.
Yeah,
I think that's
but-
just a bad movie.
But if we talk about, oh gosh, I forget the name of it. I just
Marvel?
recently watched an episode of the Kim Kardashian Law Show. But
What you just said just almost caused a factor reset in my brain.
she's actually tried to be. She apprenticed to be a lawyer.
It's very much like a Kardashians Judge Judy kind of thing.
I'm gonna.
It's a small.
So
claims
hell.
court,
Here we
right?
go.
You described
Here we
hell.
go. The modern rendition of Ghostbusters. The woman one, not the one with the kids.
And like Ocean's 11, that kind of thing.
I actually watched Ocean's 11 one. That one was entertaining in my opinion. I enjoyed that. That was good. The Ghostbusters one I think is universally panned as bad. But the thing,
I remember I was hanging out with Chase and Sarah on the way to a teen event, and they're like, "Yeah, we liked it." I was like, "What?"
I mean, and that's the thing. Like with Jeff saying that he enjoyed Ocean's 11, like people are gonna like the movie regardless of what kind of message it's gonna have.
the Ghostbusters one was mostly viewed as bad. And if you advertise that as a woman's movie, that will, no matter how you skew it or you think people shouldn't think this way, they're going to think, oh, woman's movie, bad, because they've seen a bad woman's movie, and this is a defeat, quote unquote, for women. And I do wonder, like, when you advertise things like that, that sucks. Like, a thing that people stand behind is, like, if Ryan Coogler makes a movie, because he's had a lot of wins. His, the first Black Panther, loved. Not Sinister. Sinners, yes, thank you. Loved. But let's say he starts putting out more bombs, because he also directed he directed Wakanda Forever.
I don't know.
I think he did.
I'll fact check.
Thank you, Jamie. And that is, if he puts out more flops, because he's known as the black director. I don't think Ryan Coogler wants that title, but I think people have bestowed that upon him because he has created so many iconic black culture pieces that if he makes bad movies, they are going to assume, oh, black movies are not going to be quality. Even though there are plenty of ones out there, like a couple years ago, the Harriet Tubman movie, amazing historical piece, is not like just did not get the notoriety. And I think like that could also be another casualty of the culture war, is the fact that if things get put on with titles, you can see a lot of bad things happen where if you have enough failures, people aren't going to go see it because it's been associated with bad stuff.
I think another ingredient that you're forgetting is the antagonist and antagonizing a fan base or a potential fan base.
I'm white. We don't use ingredients. Spices. I'm sorry. That was a bad joke.
But like going back to the Ghostbusters 2016.
No, Miles, let's just sit in this for a second.
Let it marinate on like my
Let's
chicken.
Okay, let's proceed.
Ghostbusters 2016. The director and the cast did a really awful job of being like, this movie. Well, actually, they did a bang up job of like saying this movie's not for you. This is before Chud was used to address people, but they would have said Chud if that word was back then. They're like, this movie's not for you. There's actually even before incel became popular, so I don't even know what they addressed to haters or man babies or fanboys or whatever negative descriptor for towards male fans of nerd culture at the time. They antagonized that subset of fans to a certain degree because of the criticisms of their work, instead of taking the criticism to heart or refuting it by saying, "Oh, you just." They refuted it by saying, "Oh, you don't like it because it has women leads." No, the movie kind of looked like Dookie Dogwater. You guys also made the only black character like super loud and obnoxious. What did you mean by that?
It's
Anyway, but like that also fed into what you were saying of like people will associate that type of casting or director, anyone who's under like can be considered like a minority group. Like I see people in comment sections for movie trailers or video game trailers, whenever they see a woman or a person of color, like, oh, this looks woke, I'm not going to buy it, and like not even giving it a fair shot.
And that's the other end of the extreme, yeah.
Yeah, or like if something from like Star Wars, and somebody says, "Oh, well, this looks bad because it's woke," it's like, no, it looks bad because it's Disney Star Wars. It being woke is just more like a consequence of it being modern Disney Star Wars, more so like the root cause of it being bad, which is like the awful writing and directing.
You guys are gone.
Disney. As soon as I said Disney, they sent their.
Is the audio still recording?
Oh yeah, the audio's fine.
Disney's trying to shut us down because I'm not the woker. You get anyway.
The woker, like the Joker.
Yeah, but woke.
It's woke.
No, that's something else. But yeah. Honestly, I confined myself in like falling into that pattern recognition of like, oh, this director or this cast or this writer said something or acts this certain way and talking about modern political issues, I'm probably not going to like their work one way or the other. And going back to the main point of the topic that we were talking about, Christopher Nolan, I don't think he's woke or a chud because his movies actually have effort put into them, and they actually are kind of good and have craftsmanship.
Yeah,
I don't think either. If he was what the other side says that he was, he wouldn't be as talented as he was, or his craftsmanship. He wouldn't be as popular as he was because his craftsmanship would. There's like this inverse quality of movie and content where the more it tries to lean one way or the other, the more likely it is that the quality of that product is going to be kind of dookie.
Well, that also comes from the fact that when you lean to one side or the other, that's going to mean fewer and fewer people. Because when you play to the center, you are going to get the people who are on the center, but also you're going to get some people from the left, some people from the right who all enjoy the product. When you skew one side, you're going to get, like, if you skew more left, you're going to get fewer people on the right who enjoy it and more people on the left. And that's kind of the give and take that places are facing now. And a lot of, when it comes to making a product or making a movie, making a show,
Or like a piece of art.
any piece of art in our modern like political climate with the U.S., let's say, you are going to have a lot more people who are sensitive to the things, and even if it's not necessarily a political piece, because people are going to tear apart every single detail. But also, when a piece is political, it is not as thickly veiled as it once was, because people are very much trying to pander to one side or the other, regardless of which side it is.
There's no subtlety anymore.
There's no subtlety. It's just like, oh, this person in this movie is the bad guy, and then it's very clear who this is an allegory for. There was a Doctor Who episode in and for what it's worth, a lot of people cried woke when they cast a woman as the Doctor. That was inevitable with the show going on for 60 plus years. The writers are what let her down, because Jodie Whittaker is a phenomenal actress.
It's hard to have bad ideas in the form of art and media, and mainly falls onto execution.
Bad execution is the ultimate downfall of good ideas. But with that Doctor Who episode, it's like spiders in something or other. But there's the main antagonist of the episode was very clearly an allegory for Donald Trump, and it was so not thinly veiled. But it wasn't Donald Trump from any kind of objective perspective. This was very much the vilified version of Donald Trump, the sensationalist idea of Donald Trump that we see in modern journalism, and that is what they went with. And it's lauded as one of the worst lauded is a positive connotation word. It is
Panned.
It is panned, thank you, as one of the worst episodes in the series. Because it's just there's no subtlety. We don't learn anything. And that's another thing. I know I'm rambling, and I want to give you guys a chance to talk because I'm a guest here. But
we want to make you permanent.
Oh, for sure.
He will be fused to the chair like the great god emperor of mankind.
Hopefully not this chair. There's a lot of staples in it.
How else do you think you're going to be put there? Do you think those are put there on accident?
But when you lose the subtlety in what you are in the artwork that you're doing, you're going to alienate a lot of people. But also, when you pander, the people you're pandering to already agree with you. We don't learn anything. We don't grow. Nobody grows. It's just this person's the bad guy and we have to stop them.
It's just patting yourself on the back and reaffirming your own beliefs instead of trying to appeal to the other side.
It's I'm a good person. No, don't you stand with me, guys? We're good people.
It's her story now.
Which is so funny because to bring it back to the center point, Christopher Nolan's movies, for the most part, don't fall into that.
Exactly.
And that's where I think you get a lot of criticism from both sides, because Dunkirk, I'll say number one, Christopher Nolan's ability to use time as a plot point in a story is beyond comparison. That man manipulates time. Tenet, Dunkirk, even in parts of The Dark Knight, the way the time is affected is something that is hard to find anywhere else. And I just genuinely think that there's also a lot of stuff to be learned from there. And Christopher Nolan has even gone on record saying the biggest thing he wants to do is people see that he has had an impact on the film industry and be truly remembered as an artist. I just wonder if we are going to be going down this track of where if we let the culture wars dominate, if art is going to be viewed exclusively through a political lens instead of actually being viewed as something creative and to be able to enjoy and learn and to be actual entertainment.
To something that exemplifies what you just said, just look at modern day anime fans and how obnoxious they are when it comes to this fictional animated character agrees with what I believe personally. They stand with me. they attach weird political
Saitama
messages.
does not care about you, my dude.
They attach weird political jargon and mumbo jumbo to anime and manga that aren't inherently political, because there are political manga and stuff and anime, like 100%, or with like less political, more universal themes of like fighting against oppressive dictatorships or evil or whatever.
Japanese bake into the story better.
They do, and that's what's so funny, because like people on Twitter's a miserable place. Don't go there. But people
Threads
over
is
there,
worse.
yeah, I don't even touch Threads with a. Sometimes I delve into Twitter just to reaffirm that I'm still sane, and that I'm on Twitter and I no longer am sane. But they'll like attach these weird, like their message to this franchise that doesn't inherently say anything about what they're saying, or it's like Transformers can be considered like anti-war in some cases, but then people go along and attach Optimus Prime to like modern political movement numero uno, and it's like, yeah, he probably would have something to say if he was real, but like you're attaching your very serious, very real world political movement to a fictional character and lauding it around like this guy agrees with me, and like as if that's going to help. And then you have the brainlets who attach like the villains to the story to their political movement, like some doofus idiot being like, oh, Dr. Doom would hate ice. My brother in Christ, do you know who Dr. Doom is? It's in his name. His name is Doom. He's evil. He's killed planets. He kills people all the time. You don't want him on your side.
Insert political opinion. Optimus Prime. I'm going to turn into a truck now.
That would be one of his, what you said.
Are we back on, or just?
We're back on.
All right, perfect. So, okay. So now talking about this, is there any last thoughts you guys just want to share in a few quick paragraphs so we can go on to the next subject?
Stop being woke. Stop being a chud. Just be normal. Just be normal.
Like, when you don't adhere to one side over the other in most cases. Like, obviously, there are going to be circumstances where the cards fall on one camp or the other, and that's fine. But when you declare yourself on one side over the other, that's going to muddy the waters of what you actually stand for. And maybe you do stand for everything that one side says over the other. And, okay, go ahead and plant your flag there. But when you have people on your side that you vehemently disagree with, maybe distance yourself from those people and say, maybe I just believe what I believe. Maybe I don't have to attach a label to it.
But if you're going to believe that no matter what, if you're right, then that means the other person's the butthole of Satan and must be destroyed. That's what they're going to say. I have many opinions on many things, but that is something I feel like there has to be space for others, because if there is not, then you run into a feedback loop that increasingly destroys and makes things less nice to experience. I think you already see that in media, but I overall feel like the culture wars have made things worse and harder, because I wonder how many people are going to go into the Odyssey with that idea instead of expecting to sit down and just sit there for 3 hours to enjoy one of the oldest and one of the most popular stories ever told through the lens of one of the best directors in modern history.
I just think their armor kind of looks lame in comparison to the historical one. I feel like leaning more towards more historical accuracy would have been great.
It's not a real story.
Well, it still takes place in a point in time in history.
I see what Miles is saying.
Like, by your logic, Jeff, that means a Honda Odyssey could be there, and it would be fine because it's not a
Honda Odyssey was in Braveheart. It can be in the Odyssey.
Why don't the Starbucks cup was in Game of Thrones? Yeah. Jeff. This is the arm of the chair that I'm currently sitting in.
And we have to replace it with your arm.
I needed to get a new chair. I know.
All right. Well,
I snapped the nail that holds that in. That's what
here.
Thanks.
Grab it from that camera angle. Bring it into your frame now. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to hold on to this and
Rest your arm there. It's your turn to fight with the staples.
I wanted to get a new chair very soon, but because my car's check engine light turned on, that might have to wait a little bit.
Oh,
All right. So next topic, and this one is going to be a little bit fast because I got a feeling I know where everyone's going to fall on it. It's going to be pretty straightforward.
what about being pretty gay forward? It's still Jude.
Hey, I've been working 40 hours straight and 5 hours a day, man. Come on.
Does your wife know?
I haven't acted out on it.
Yeah, it just means that he's watching insert something that equates to gay people form of media here.
Do you want to rephrase that sentence?
No.
Anyways, we're going to talk about children.
That is why he gave you the option to change your statement. He's like, this next thing I'm going to say is going to make that sound really bad, Miles.
Well, it's just because you said gay and then went immediately into insert here. And
That wasn't even on purpose. Anyway, wow, it's great that we're back from that commercial break. What's the next topic we're talking about?
This is a side note. This is why a lot of podcasts have like bumper music in between topics, so they can cut out the rambling in between. But for us, it's just very, very insensitive and abhorrent things.
it is very abhorrent.
It will get worse.
It will get worse, and that's why we just need a
I'm
little
not
bit
even
of
on my A
music.
game today.
Last January, we recorded an Israel video. I think I got about 2.5 hours of footage, and I could only use an hour of it.
I will not apologize for any of the words said.
Those notes have been lost to time.
Just know that when the Palantir drone strikes me down, it'll probably be partially because of that video.
All right, Jeff, start the topic.
Yes. So in the United Kingdom, soon-to-be former Prime Minister Keir Starmer decided that they were going to ban all social media for kids underneath the age of 16. If they reach the age of 16, they can then create their own social media accounts and they'll be good as gold. And to go beyond that, the way it's going to be enforced is a little bit different than how other people are going to enforce it. Because in Australia, they also have a ban for kids under the age of 16 to be able to get on social media. But it's a little bit different because in Australia, the government is the one that essentially provides the internet services, which is why Australians complain about their internet so much. But they can do that through seeing the IP addresses and also through algorithms saying like, oh yeah, this is probably a teenager. We need to kick him off. United Kingdom is going to be a little bit different. Their regulatory body called Ofcom, or I think it stands for Official Communication. I'll put something on the screen if I'm right about that or not. But Ofcom's
going to be right here. Right here.
No, it's going to be right here.
Be like
it's right here.
My hand doesn't go into that frame, so.
It's going to be right
You can
there.
put it on the armrest.
It'll be right here. It'll be right here.
So, okay.
That doesn't count when I viewed it on the computer screen. Anyway, go ahead.
Ofcom is essentially going to say, all right, the way that they want them to do this and enforce these regulations is through either the teenager submitting an ID, connecting their bank account information, or facial recognition. So, a country that has already been known for having issues with leaks from their government is going to have all that data on government databases, which are probably extremely outdated and have poor security. And that is going to be where these kids' informations are going to be. So I want to present to you guys and see your opinions on the United Kingdom decided to put that forward, because I personally think I'm okay with that, because I do think we need to find ways to reduce the screen time kids have. But this is the worst way to go about enforcing it, in my opinion.
Kind of off topic. Isn't the current British royal being investigated for ties to Epstein?
Yes. Prince Andrew?
Yeah. Anyways, this is a dumb idea, and it's a dumb execution of an even dumber idea. Well, I can agree that there's too much screen time, but that's like a universal thing, not just an age thing. Granted, I will say that them kids are doomed. Everybody's like, oh, the kids will be all right. No, they're not. They're not going to be all right.
They will if we, the adults, get our act together.
Right. So yeah, the kids ain't going to be all right. There's so many different reasons why this is a bad execution of a bad idea. Like Jeff mentioned, the security risk alone is enough for this to be an awful idea. But for two, one of the things mentioned was his bank account information being linked there. Britain isn't doing too hot when it comes to like the whole free speech thing, because I don't even think they technically have free speech over there. So if you say something online that the current administration leaning one way or the other, keep in mind, and you say something that they don't like, and you're enough of a figurehead, like not even a figurehead, like you just say something they don't like, they can, and they have already, arrest you for it. Or I'm assuming if you attach your bank account to your online your online space, they can probably freeze your bank account if they're not too busy arresting you. Because like last year or earlier this year, they arrested a black woman for saying the N-word on the internet. Like,
and they didn't acquit her because of it being racism. They only acquitted her because they thought it'd be racist to throw her in jail as a black woman.
Fellas, is it racist to throw black people in jail if they commit a crime?
It is in England. Oh, there's a whole thing going on with that. I'm not even gonna touch it, but there.
Carmelo?
No,
Okay.
there was a man. I think his last name is Nowak, and I forget his first name. Unfortunately, it might have been Noah because I think it was alliteration. He was
the kid who got stabbed, and he was like
Yes.
telling the police, "I'm dying," and they're like, "Oh, you're fine," and then he died.
No, it's worse than that because he was in an argument with this. I believe this man was Sikh, Indian, Punjabi, and the man stabbed this guy Nowak, and
Wasn't he like 16 or 18?
yeah, he was a kid, he was an adult, and he was stabbed and was bleeding out a lot, and the police arrived, and the man that had stabbed him with the bloody knife in hand, there's a whole video of it, he went up to the police and said that this kid said something racist to me, and they put the kid in cuffs and in the back of a police car, and he bled out in the back of the police car and died. While he's saying, I'm dying. And there's no proof of the actual racist comment, and then there's also the whole debate of
Does that
still be
justify?
denying medical care.
Like even if the racist comments were there, and he said the most abhorrent thing possible, you as a emergency responder, police or otherwise, should be calling an ambulance to attend to the wounds of the person bleeding out, because you can't put a dead man in jail or dead kid at this point. Oh,
And
Can one of you guys hand me your glasses real quick?
I can no longer see.
what's the point?
The U.S. healthcare system is deeply flawed. Unlike the U.K., where we're allowed to,
Where we have such better healthcare, and then they let something like this happen. Like,
There's only 6.6 million people on a waiting list for medical care. That takes around 13 months to see a doctor. Guess who hasn't had to pay a single dime for anything related to his son's medical care? Because I have decent insurance.
woo!
Yeah.
Guess who's about to lose his insurance? Oh, speaking of son, he just not walked in the room. He's being carried into the room.
You have
But
to, when Justin says son, you have to put a picture of Anthony Mackie.
I love you, Cyrus.
That was cute. When Justin says son, you have to put a picture of Anthony Mackie with the caption son, like you see on all the
Son.
Instagram comments. After all the permutations of that meme, I completely forgot that the origin was
No
Anthony
clue
Mackie.
how I'm gonna splice up that little bit there, but I want to throw that in there. The
But I think I was saying something about the ID stuff.
oh, they're gonna force digital IDs now too.
Yeah, it's just
So this is okay. I might get canceled. Probably will cut this out, but I'm actually one of the most open people to immigration. I would say I believe in as long as you can prove that you don't have any kind of record, you should be allowed residency anywhere, pretty much. And I don't believe in capping numbers of any kind of immigration whatsoever. But something about Britain, they just attract the worst because, like, I hate there was a huge grooming scandal of where 250,000 women were molested in.
Jeff, hold your mic closer to your mouth.
That might have been good too because I can't use that word. Because there was a story in Britain where there were grooming gangs that did sexual things
That's even
unconsensually to women.
you might just have to say grape. Genuinely
Honestly, I think it's far enough in the video. Usually the algorithm only
detects it earlier
detects
on.
it within the first minute or so.
Essentially, yeah, that happened, and there's just things where the entire Muslim population in Britain just seems to be the worst variant of it because the numbers that you see there don't happen in other countries. Like, it doesn't happen to American Muslim populations. The American Muslim population is one of the most law-abiding. And a lot of other countries, even in the Middle East, even the unreported estimates aren't even that high. What is it with Britain? It's probably because if you go to Britain, you get paid Cleveland wages while paying New York City prices, which is a whole other issue they haven't dealt with. But the United Kingdom overall just has this huge issue boiling over where it feels like it is falling behind and is being turned into a terrible country, which is why they've had 7 prime ministers in 10 years. One of the most stable places in the world is now being destabilized. I don't even think if they cut off immigration it would change very much because that doesn't solve the root of the issues, but that's just me.
Also, speaking of the ID thing, if you mention those grooming gangs, you could also be arrested.
Well, that's because the government got found covering it up. Justin, how
and
do you
I'm
feel
sure
about the
no one-
social media ban?
Typical government, honestly.
How do you feel about this whole banning social media to bring it back to the original topic?
To bring it back to the original topic, I've actually been waiting for my turn for this. I first of all unequivocally support the social media bans for minors because a lot of people say, "Oh, that's infringing on their rights." They don't have rights yet.
They're kids.
They're kids. They're not adults. They're not in the workforce. They are under the
They can't vote.
They can't vote. They're under the jurisdiction of their parents.
And they're British.
Even more so, they are British. Why are we giving them rights? I'm kidding, mostly.
They
But
took ours. That's why we're going to see Young Washington and celebrate 4th of July.
that being said,
USA. It's bad over here too. Help.
that being said, I do agree with Jeff what you said earlier about they're executing this in the worst way possible because we can't have. Because it goes back to the fact that they are kids. They should not be all corralled digitally into this like dossier of or this like this Rolodex of minors because
It's such an easy target.
especially because we were talking before we even started recording about just how poor the UK government handles sensitive information. And when you and like that's one thing if it's like, oh funny, haha, the prime minister sent an email to like the US president saying, I do not like the way you're handling this situation. And it's another thing when you involve minors in the mix because at the end of the day, I support. Let me finish real quick. At the end of the day, the reason why I support bans on social media for minors is because they're kids. They need to be protected, and algorithms are verifiably predatory. They actively try to keep people engaged as long as possible, and for young people who have malleable brains, not fully developed brains, that is dangerous. On that same note, the reason why I oppose how they're executing it is also because of the minors. Like, we are able to do both. We are able to ban social media while also still protecting them in a way that makes sense logically. Go ahead, Miles.
A few things. It's that another horrible, really bad aspect of this would be like that means actual adults, are going to have to provide their ID as well. Going back to like that can be used maliciously by either the government or by hackers or both if they're not in cahoots. On top of that,
Why would they be on Kahoot.com?
It's fun, dude.
I ought to.
Miles, did you ever play a Kahoot?
I've played several Kahoots.
Oh, okay. I
never
forgot
won.
we were in campus ministry where that's a
That was like on the highlights of
default
campus events.
activity for when they didn't plan anything. Oh no.
Anyway,
Switch to the forbidden camera angle. That's face cam for my Pokemon streams.
when was the last time you even streamed Pokemon?
I streamed Let's Go Eevee like 3 weeks ago.
YouTube doesn't give me any notifications unless you're using a different channel.
I'm using Mahogany Crafter.
Yeah, YouTube don't give no
I may
notifications.
have not be subscribed. I need to go subscribe.
That's okay. Anyway,
Yeah, I forget what I was going to say. I don't like the use of putting ID on stuff to verify stuff, mainly because, like, one, they probably already have your information. Two, online anonymity is important for various reasons. And three, I don't think after those files dropped earlier this year, I don't really trust any government body to handle a large collection of information regarding minors. I'm just going to be 100% with you.
go ahead, Jeff.
When I grew up as a kid, you didn't need an ID as a kid. As a kid, it's all going through your parents. Like, why do you specifically need identification when you're a minor that can't exercise rights the same way?
True. Like, it took me until like I was like 18, I think, or older before I actually had my own ID. Like, I didn't get my license when I was 16 because I was scared of driving. So, yeah, like, how many kids have ID? Like, genuinely, is that just more common over in the
I think
UK?
they're trying to create this.
I mean, like, I had a school ID.
I think Britain is trying to create a digital ID that tracks you from birth.
That's dystopian.
That is something, and we're just gonna, like, I understand it's the government, and resisting the government is difficult when you don't have precedent for keeping and bearing arms. However, like
USA.
I love my country. But like, are we just gonna say that the UK government is batting 1,000? That they absolutely have the best interests of these children in mind? That they want to digitally bookmark? No, and we have verifiable evidence with the Epstein files that's in fact the opposite. They want to take advantage of these children.
Like, think about it like this: they'll have all this identifying information of these kids. They'll probably have additional identifying information of their parents, of their schedules, of when they're who's most vulnerable, when they're most vulnerable. Have you guys, like, that's the type of stuff that people aren't thinking about when they say, "Oh, I support protecting the kids." You really don't if you're thinking this is okay in how it's being executed. And I will also be executed for saying this.
I have a proposal. I have an idea.
I'm taken. I'm sorry.
You'd have to reject me like that on camera. So
I'm not on camera. You are.
Took himself off.
put yourself on camera.
Okay. Go ahead.
Happy Pride Month.
So I know that I'm working a gay hour now.
Well, they do say don't trust your brain after 9 o'clock.
The big thing with this is that I personally would recommend the way that the finance community in America does. And people are like, they're not trustable. They're not worthy. I'm like, well, guess what? Our system, the American financial system, and the way it regulates financial corporations has put more billionaires in prison than any of the other regulations within the United States. So I'd say it's the best way to execute things by far.
Well, to be fair, those prisons are probably nicer than most people's living situations.
Yes. Well, I would just say that it has been the most successful at actually convicting people and holding people to account.
Okay, that's better.
The big thing.
Because honestly, if I had the option to go to like a billionaire prison, I probably would take it.
Well, I mean,
If they treated me the same-
you're allowed to go visit. You're allowed
I mean,
to
like,
go-
if I was to be incarcerated in any form of incarcerated
I think you'd be
institution.
shocked at how quality if you go to a blue state. If you go to a blue state prison, how nice some of them are.
Maybe that's why rehabilitation rate is so low. Anyway,
So boiling
that
it all
and the
down
free healthcare that they get.
is that in the finance world we have something that essentially acts as the middleman here called self-regulatory organizations. So essentially, there's private businesses that obviously have a profit incentive that would not do well in just asking them to regulate themselves. On the flip side, you also have the government, which would, number one, can kill a lot of competition because it can force these regulations and make it impossible for new social media companies to pop up. That sucks. So they need a middleman. And essentially in finance, they have these non-for-profit private public enterprises that are essentially partially owned by the government but also operate privately to hopefully have more efficiency protection. And they also, number one, can be sued as a private entity and not actually be suing the government, which would be much harder because they have endless resources essentially. The idea is that what if instead of using Ofcom, which is the same government entity that also regulates speech in the United Kingdom, instead they created an SRO, which in America we have like FINRA is one. That's the one that regulates me. And essentially what happens is I pay FINRA a fee.
like specifically him. It's made specifically to regulate Jeff. Specifically.
I have an account there. They talk to me every year. So I pay a fee to FINRA directly out of my
Personal SCP.
paycheck. I have to legally do that. They take this fee and they don't approve things. What they do is they are the ones that do the checks and the regulating, and they take the information and give it to the government. They don't actually arrest people. They don't charge people. They just report on what's going on, and they actually get it to the government. And if there's nothing reportable, they don't send it to the government. No one's breaking rules. They don't send that. So they actually do make money because they charge the fee, but the fee is mainly to cover the employee costs and also be able to help make it a little bit more efficient to be able to get more people in the industry. That helps promote competition. I think that they should do the same thing where social media should have a license, or not a licensing fee, but just like a fee to be able to participate in the country's internet. And just be able to say, like, if you pay a fee for per user, which is going to be like 5 cents or something like that, it shouldn't be something high. And of course, the way that you regulate that or keep those prices down is if you have multiple of these self-regulatory organizations that these companies can go back and forth between. But they need that middleman that can essentially just report on the actual things going on, that can be sued independently and not try to sue the government, which takes forever, and they can actually be able to report back to the government, and then the government goes off these official reports. I think it'd be a little bit simpler for the social media. It'd be better overall for the kids, because I do support the ban, but I do think that like this will at least provide somewhat. It's not perfect by any stretch of imagination, but I think it's better than having Ofcom, who has we literally talk about the NOAC situation. I think they played their impact on Britain plays a role in why that happened. Yeah, that's my proposal. And I'm going to ask Andy Burnham, the next British Prime Minister, to put that in for me. Thank you, Andy.
He's a friend of the channel.
Yeah, he's
Friend of the channel.
Friend of the podcast. He likes talking to us. We love visiting Manchester, even though I've never been.
I've never stepped a
cat
foot into
now.
Britain ever.
My cat's
Never.
saying hi.
Yes.
You guys have any other opinions on that or on my proposal?
I think
You used too many big words. I kind of zoned out for a split second.
I think when you mention fees, or God forbid the T word, taxes.
But I thought the Brits love taxes. That's kind of the whole reason we split.
That's why we exist.
Technically, I exist because after the tax situation, you guys started buying people.
They did that before.
They
that
abolished
too.
slavery before
They're-
we did, so 0.1 for the Brits.
They're the ones that started it, though.
Take the point away. Take the point away. Net neutral.
Net neutral.
This whole idea was your operation.
Incidentally, what I was going to say was along those lines. Like when you introduce fees and taxes to something that people view as a basic human right, which that's a whole other discussion on what is and what isn't a human right, that is going to make a lot of people upset. They're like, why do I have to pay this garbage? When I
the toll.
I don't think they do this for the internet, but you actually do have to pay a tax to have a TV in United Kingdom.
You gotta pay the troll toll to get in.
Oh, you got a license for that telly. That might be the best British accent I've ever done. So
That probably is the best accent you've ever done. Oh my god.
Gotta pay my telly tax.
His tax on his telly.
Pay my tax on my telly. I am.
Why is your? Never mind. I can't say that.
When you do like a 1900s Cockney accent, this is kind of
Sound a
what
bit
it
slow.
turns into. You speak a bit slow. I went to Juilliard. No, I didn't.
You wish you did.
I wish I didn't. No, I hate with a passion BFA programs, but that's a topic for a different podcast.
We'll talk about it next time. All right. I guess that's a good enough segue to. It's not really a segue. Just got to go on to our third and final point.
no, that's not a segue. This is a segue.
Paul Blart.
The third and most important. No, it's not the most important topic, but I want to talk about it just because it's something that used to be really popular, like back during Greek times. And
I was going to say Star Wars when you said used to be really popular.
And then it got really popular again in the late 1800s, early 1900s, but has now come back with the idea of number one cameo, which is a small version of this, but number two, and the obviously more well known, is OnlyFans, is the idea, and this has spurred a lot of idea that like, oh, we should cut out having appealing things to the masses. Instead, we should have most of our financing done through superfans. So there's this new idea that's been growing more and more popular that instead of doing big shows or things and whatnot for people that, and this is something that CEOs have quoted, they think that the OnlyFans model is better for like musicians, for a lot of different shows, than actually trying to do something that is for the masses to be able to watch at a much cheaper price. They think people should pay a premium for more exclusive acts, not sexual. I see your eyes.
No, it's funny because this topic is something that I was like thinking about last week for a while now in regards to these guys, Transformers by Hasbro. John Hasbro, actually his name is Chris Cox. John Hasbro.
I thought you said this wasn't sexual.
You said Hasbro.
More like Hasbro. Chris Cox. Happy Pride.
You guys
This
suck.
is one for the ages.
What kind of how old do they have to register an ID?
Hey, callback. Remember that from earlier?
Earlier viewers of the channel might remember this from 5 minutes ago.
If they stuck around this long.
But yeah, I'm sorry. Was that? I didn't mean to cut you off. Are you done?
I was only at the sense of like, how do you guys feel about the super fan financing idea?
It sucks. It sucks. John Hasbro, when I get my hand on you, John Hasbro. So the general idea, I think, is that the fans of a franchise or a property or an artist or a musician will be paying more so that product can still exist, instead of broadening that product's popularity and appeal so that more people engage in it. And that's going to lead to, I mean, just look at He-Man. Just look at G.I. Joe. No, don't do that. It's stupid. You're stupid. I'm going to fight you. Transformers is in a rough spot right now because a lot of those fans are being priced out because not a lot of people, because the figures and like the main line are becoming more and more expensive. Like this guy is technically a leader class. Transformers is split into different classes for the size of a character. Well, not size anymore, but like parts counts. This guy was like $50 when I got him. That same class is now $60 now with inflation and all that bull crap. But
Can
you show him on screen? Because I don't think they can see that on camera.
this guy was $50 when I got him. He's a leader class. Hold on.
Don't know what that means.
This guy is also leader class, and he was $60, but I got him for like $40.
I'll see if I can
secondhand.
find some sort of document that displays the different classes.
Yeah, I can probably find you some on the TF Wiki, but I don't like the TF Wiki because those guys are weird. Anyway, the fans have been being more and more priced out by these figures because something that would cost like $20 a few years ago now costs $30, and the quality hasn't quite caught up because they're re-releasing figures from when they cost cheaper nowadays for more. And it's like, what? You already had the mold. You already did all the tooling. You already did everything to make it cost as much as it did back then. So why does it cost more now? I know there's more to it than that because I don't.
So, Justin, you tell me why you should have an OnlyFans for your acting.
I never know.
You instead of saying OnlyFans, you could have said Patreon.
I mean, Patreon is the tried and true system for like people who are in my line of work who do content creation on like YouTube and stuff, and for places like the podcast, friend of the podcast, Patreon.
I will say beyond Patreon goes beyond superfan stuff, bless you, because it's also just like can be purely a donation and or early release kind of thing.
So I think
Donations are more like from GoFundMe, I thought.
There's some channels that have Patreons that have thousands just to donate.
And there's also like a lot of channels have a tier 1 donation. It's like $1 a month. It's like, what are your rewards? A warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you remember that you donate.
And superfans it's geared towards that one fan. It's not geared towards this whole class of people.
Yeah, so it's very much like it's similar to an on-demand kind of system, but it's on-demand for like content creation itself rather than content that has already been created and you're just wanting to watch that. I think that puts art itself in a difficult spot because
it's greater you have to cut that off or just kill me.
I haven't decided yet.
I'm glad it's not a clear-cut decision at least.
But when the keep talking, Buckaroo. When you make art primarily for like what is going to be the most lucrative, there is an element of that when you make art. Like you want your art to be successful, and like Miles, I know your family is a family of artists. So obviously that's this is a very, but also you know how important art is as far as like your own personal story and like what you personally want to do, not necessarily within the realm of like what's going to be the most lucrative, like because you want to make what you want to make at the end of the day. And I don't think that and some people might go that direction. But when an artist stops being true to making what they want to make and instead starts to pander to fans, Miles, you get Star Wars. You get Star Wars, Disney Star Wars. And like, don't get me wrong, Disney Star Wars has had its moments. Clone Wars Season 7. Andor
is more like a freak accident that I don't know how we got lucky enough to exist, but yeah.
Gotta give it credit. It was created by Disney Star Wars.
Bad Batch.
The designs looked cool in Bad Batch. I never watched Bad Batch, and I haven't heard enough about it to have one.
He hasn't watched most of the things he's made.
I'm still making my way through Maul Shadow Lord, but like Disney Star Wars has its moments. But if you look at that, those are the moments of people who have actual stories to tell and somehow slip through the cracks of what and like I agree with you in the sense of like Andor was a freak accident. Like this was a rare moment where Disney was like, let's throw Star Wars at the wall and see if it sticks, and it just so happened they picked like a team who actually cared about the project they were making and not worried about the next paycheck that was coming in, and it was beautiful.
Right. I think someone best put is like Andor is great in spite of being Star Wars, not because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, and like that's the thing with Disney Star Wars. It's been relying on the IP to make money rather than relying on the storytelling to make money. Even the prequel trilogy didn't necessarily. I would say the first couple relied a little bit on Star Wars, but George Lucas still had a story that he wanted to tell, and he started writing this story right after A New Hope came out, actually.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
He was like working on the backstory of Darth Vader as early as that.
Well, I mean, considering how much was hinted at just in that movie alone, that makes sense.
That's why they released what was it, Shadows of a Mind's Eye? That was like originally supposed to be the sequel because he didn't think he'd get Harrison Ford for the sequel. He thought for darn sure that wasn't going to happen.
Well, Harrison Ford actually, he was one of the few. I mean, Mark Hamill as well. They were the two who had careers after Star Wars. Mark Hamill more had to take the voice acting route because his face was too recognizable as Luke Skywalker.
It worked out for him. He's a great voice actor.
It did. Oh my gosh! Like Skips from regular show.
I honestly forget that that's him sometimes.
Yeah,
The Joker.
Freaking. A lot of voices from like Disney cartoons.
He did a lot of combat movies in the late 80s, early 90s too.
Yeah, and it's
What are we talking about?
we were talking about storytelling and like
Super
not-
fans.
overall super fans, but like not relying on the IP in order to generate. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about with super fans. It's like we can't rely on pre-existing success in order to bring more success because eventually that model is going to run out. And then it reminds me a lot of
Those old fans are going to die.
Yes, and that is going to be something that we encounter a lot of within the next few years, honestly, when the boomers start to die out, and then we're left with the pieces that we're picking up. But I digress. It reminds me a lot of when
They're called boomers because the fallout of their actions is going to leave an explosion.
I suppose, but when CDs became like iTunes, and then when iTunes became Spotify, it's always advertised as this is the better medium that's going to help with your music. And obviously there was some success with iTunes, but now Spotify, artists are lucky to get like 1/10 of a cent off of like 10,000 streams. And it's never been something that has put the artist first. And I think places that are pushing the superfans model, artists should be wary of that. Like, where is this coming from?
And go ahead, Miles.
I was just going to say, like, yeah, that's important to remember, like, what's your cut going to be for this model, because obviously the websites and groups that are going to be facilitating this model are going to take a cut out of this as well if you're like an artist or a creative working in this space. And also just
Damn. Where were we at? I don't know.
Miles, it was your turn to speak. We were talking about the superfans stuff.
yeah, like artists be careful, but also just like when you incentivize that, you also stifle creativity when you're relying on those fans, because back to Star Wars, sometimes the fans don't know squat. Dave Filoni is a fan of Star Wars. He's had more misses than hits lately.
What the heck are you talking about?
He did just take over.
Ahsoka. The
Ahsoka's
show.
really popular.
No, I'm saying the show.
The show's really popular.
Was it?
Yes, it's really well received.
Was it? I didn't hear much good about it when I came out.
I watched it. It was fine.
But then there's also the Obi-Wan show. That one wasn't as well received. I don't know. I feel like when you let like a super fan, like appealing to those super fans, and you get like, oh look, cameo. Oh look, I remember that guy. Or wow, he Vadered all over the place. It's just like my old TV shows and cartoons and TV and.
I think there's also an element of like when Ahsoka and stuff, or maybe not Ahsoka, but like while Kathleen Kennedy was still, and how much of this stuff was like her decisions. Or like even Bob Iger's decisions of like, this is going to be most lucrative. Dave Filoni do that. It's like the Avi Arad stuff on why he pushed Sam Raimi to put Venom in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I mean, like, In terms of like, I mean, like on like a smaller scale, creatively on those shows, like there's a lot of cameos, for characters, and they just kind of didn't really contribute much to it. And there's like guy I recognize, yippee, but that's also prevalent. Like this is from Star Wars, and I haven't really kept much touch with Star Wars personally, so I might not be the best person to articulate this point. But I know I can articulate this in Transformers. Is just having the same kind of problem as Star Wars, maybe even worse, because they keep relying on the original cartoon for designs, stories, action figures. They've branched out a little bit in the past 5 years, and they're kind of going back to their different roots with different iterations of the franchise, which is great. But they're still going back to the past to make new stuff, instead of trying to make something new and giving it the support it deserves to generate some new fans and make the franchise like healthy again, like it was back in. Like Michael Bay, for all of his problems, Transformers would be in a rougher spot than it is now without at least the first 3 movies. Granted, the last 2 probably started this whole downward trend that we're in right now, but that's besides the point.
So, trying to bring all 3 of these ideas here together is, number one, to the point of like you talking about Kathleen Kennedy. They're the producers. They are the ones that fund it. They're the ones that pay for everything, and their money's on the line. So I do feel like there's a little bit of ownership there because they pay for everything. On the fan side of it, there's fans that have been around there for a while, and I feel like that some of them are entitled for things to continue the way that they saw it because that's what they enjoy. And then there's also newer fans who want to be able to enjoy newer stories and whatnot. And there's some people that just don't care in general. And then there's also the creative side where, like, for instance, we talked about him earlier, Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson very clearly wanted to create his own Star Wars story. So he literally was given a movie and was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this entire thing. And you know what? He's associated with that one super negatively when I think every other movie I've seen Rian Johnson make is brilliant. Just the one big one didn't hit. And that is something like, how do you balance those 3? Because the money has to come from somewhere or else these projects just don't exist. The fans have to be there or else this project doesn't exist. And the creators have to be there or else these projects just don't really exist.
Just hire better writers and designers.
I think when it comes to the superfans model, though, there becomes a danger of like fans like committing this money. It's a little bit like the GoFundMe or Kickstarter, that kind of thing, and then the finished product not being what they expected, and then
that's true.
And I think that's one of the dangers with it, and something that when artists are debating whether to go that direction with the superfan stuff, whether that is worth it. Because when you're putting your art out there, regardless of if it's to make money or because you want it, there's always going to be the risk that people don't like it. And that's the risk worth taking when you're being artistic and creative. But
Right.
yeah.
I mean, like, not to sugarcoat it, it is a bit of a skill issue in terms of, well, part of it is a skill issue because there's also like algorithms and appeal.
I mean,
and
a great
niche
artist
and stuff
will
like
make
that.
something terrible, and that's fine.
No, I meant like, let me explain. I mean like a skill issue in terms of like producing something that people might not like, because there's no, I don't know. But then again, what people like kind of shifts, and it shifts rapidly nowadays. I don't like, say, like the Backrooms movie had mixed reception. I don't think it would have done as well, like, say, 5 years ago or even like 2 years ago, versus like I don't know. The point I'm trying to say is like, if you're an artist and you're producing something, like Justin said, it's part of the risk. But it's also like, if you have like a certain level of skill, that risk is diluted, I guess. And that's not always 100% accurate, because there are a bunch of times where I come across artists on Instagram with very few views and interactions, and then I come across slop, and it's like, oh wow, that everybody liked that. But then there are other times where I see the inverse of that, where like I see a very talented artist get the recognition they deserve. So it's a gamble, and we love gambling.
So overall, just to finish, do you guys think that there is any worth in the superfan model, or do you think it's just something that completely needs to be avoided?
I think context is important for like what is being funded.
I think on a smaller content creator scale, it's fine because it's not much different than like Patreon or like subscribing on like their their YouTube or Twitch subscriptions or stuff like that, or being like a YouTube member. You're like showing direct support for the content creator that you like. That's fine. The problem is when it's a larger corporation that's made a bunch of stupid decisions and now their popular IP is on the back foot because they made John Hasbro.
And some of this is like we're mainly aimed at where like bands are doing private concerts for 20, 30 people. Like you have big bands like Imagine Dragons playing for a small group.
I feel like that is a specific thing that they can.
Camera.
Let me see if I can.
And we do have to wrap it up in like a minute or two because unfortunately Bethany needs me.
There we go.
Oh,
So I guess this will be like literally final thoughts.
I think when it comes to like the private concert thing, like they can do that. Just like maybe advertise that. It's like, hey, if you have enough money, this popular band will come in and sing at your birthday party or something. It's like that's basic. That's basically how it's been for decades at this point.
I don't know. Yeah, I think there's like the risk of like being labeled as a sellout for that, but like every band runs that risk for anything they do that might makes them like 1.1 cent. But like, I think the problem for me, in my opinion, the problem is the over reliance on those super fans and appealing to those super fans in a way that stifles and what's the word I'm looking for? Chokes the franchise and per se.
Well, also, at what point do the fans become your boss?
That's true as well.
Aren't fans always the boss though?
Not our fans. We just say whatever the heck we want.
Yes and no. Like when you're in charge of like a popular IP, you have to there's a certain level of reverence and respect you should have for that IP and the characters in it and the people who made that IP popular and the stuff that they love, obviously. But the inverse of that is like you can't just make the same thing over and over again. You have to try something new. But like new and like quotation marks and like lowercase, because like you don't want to be so new and so different that you alienate your old fans and then run the risk of those old fans not advocating for that new stuff to the new fans, and then you have like fandom wars where like certain generations are at each other's throat. Case in point, again, Transformers, where you have fans of different continuities hating other fans of different continuities and nobody likes each other.
Beyblade is the same way.
Yeah, many such cases.
I-
We love
Thank you,
tribalism.
John Hasbro.
I personally don't think that.
What is it
it's
with
sustainable.
Hasbro? Case in point, Hasbro's not doing too well.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I just think that it ultimately there's not enough super fans to fund this long term.
Exactly.
And I think you'll run through it because a lot of these experiences are things that do it one time and doing it again will not have the same effect. So
It's like
ultimately,
diminishing returns.
I think it is diminishing returns. So I think that is like gonna be the end of it. But I'm gonna give you each like just a quick few seconds to end on this your opinions on this. If you'd like to add anything else, starting with Justin.
I think when it comes to this whole thing, like I said, it depends on the context of what's being funded, but like on a smaller scale, absolutely go for it. But if it's like on the topic of like a big budget, like intellectual property, I think that's where you need to be careful because first of all, they're already doing things that are going to make money anyway. It's just less of a gamble when they put the impetus on that into the hands of the consumers at the start when they have not yet received the product, and I think that is a little sketchy.
Right.
Miles, in a few sentences, your ending.
Hasbro has this thing called HasLabs where people will pay to support a higher end action figure being produced, and once it's backed enough, it will then begin production, and there's like a high entry fee. those have had much more. Those have had the diminishing returns lately, both for the quality of the figures. Like the second most recent one was breaking on people just by transforming it. It was a transformer that broke when you transformed it, and that thing cost like $300+. You have to if you do this, you have to make sure the product that you're providing to the fans is beyond exceptional, like at the very least functional. And then also, again, you still run the rest of those diminishing returns, and you're not appealing to new fans to bring into the franchise to keep it off of life support.
Yeah. Well, I think that about does it for that conversation.
Wait, we didn't ask Dobby what he thought.
He doesn't care. He's a communist.
True.
But I think that will wrap it up. This is Miles, who you can find at Horsehead Studios.
You got it.
And that is Justin, who you can find at Mahogany Crafter. I'm going to put up their channel symbols over here. And
You
this
can
was
put mine up here.
Yes, that's what I plan on doing.
You can put mine
And-
like right here. Right.
That's off screen, buddy.
And this was Casualities News. And I know there's a lot of things in the zeitgeist we like to talk about. But until next time, bye for now.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Allahu Akbar.